Hi, good morning, good afternoon, whatever time it is for you now. Greetings to your moment. My name is Andre Davis, and I'm introducing myself and you to a movement class of sorts. I figured I would just walk through and we'll see if this is a good idea or not. I may have to do some editing along the way, but my goal is to not really want to edit. I like to do things in the moment and really give the actual true perspective of what's going on in life in general. So what I'm going to do here is just introduce you to where you will be working when you take a class live with me. At this time, we're at Centerpoint Studios. It's a nice facility. This is where I taught martial arts for several years for several kids and a few adults, and it was great. They've expanded. This is the original mat space that they had, and actually expanded from that here, but where we'll be working is in their newest section off to the side here. So this is the mat space that we'll be using. A little bit smaller, but it's what we need for what we need to do, which is just some simple movement classes. What I'm going to do, rather than go through a full movement class, is just do a quick workout, maybe not quick, but a workout that I want to do this morning in the moment. So let's kind of just go over the space a little bit. Again, this is it. We've got a mirror, got wide open echoiness. We have great acoustics, so if we want to start a band, we can do that as well. It's a joke. For me today, I'm going to be working with a few pieces of equipment, and possibly, I pulled them out because they're possibly things I'm going to work with for my own training. And we've got a quick little heavy bag here. Don't be intimidated by that. It's just for me to warm up with a little bit. So excuse me while I set up the camera and I get to work on some breathing, which I think is an extremely important part of getting ready, getting your body ready to start moving. Opens up everything, allows you to start feeling the spots where we may need a little bit of focus, tension. Right now, even just sitting down here, I can feel it up in my shoulders. I feel my quads a little bit. Maybe just how I'm sitting. I can tell my knee is a little bit achy, telling me something. So when we sit down, we get ready to breathe. We can do this in any number of positions. We can do it standing up. I like to do it sitting down. Sometimes today I'm going to do it sitting down. Depending on your comfort level, your range of motion, your flexibility, you could be sitting on your knees like this. Maybe it's more comfortable for you to sit cross-legged, sit with your legs extended, whatever is comfortable, but you want to make sure that your upper body is able to stay erect, because you want to get control of your midsection, your core, and make sure your spine can straighten out as much as you can do that. Be able to move your head around, and we're not going to be moving our head around necessarily as we breathe, excuse me, but that just gives you a good idea of where you want to be. So I am going to sit on my knees, mostly for the camera angle, and so I can get a little bit of a stretch in my knee that's not feeling great right now. As far as my feet are concerned, you can go up on your toes if you're sitting on your knees like that if you want. You can drop them down like that if you want. This will give you a little bit more flexion in your ankles. This might give you a little bit more support. You'll feel that certainly a stretch in your foot there, or in your feet. And your toes are going to be bent as well. So let's just get to it. So first, what you want to do is bring your spine straight, or bring your body erect. So think about separating your rib cage from your hip section. So make that conscious effort to raise up your rib cage, your body, extend your torso, and then you want to think about your neck, the top of your head separating up from your collarbone. So extend that out, just get your body straight, and then take a deep breath in. And exhale. So we're going to take a deep breath in through our nose. And exhale through our mouth. What I like to do is, while we're keeping extended like that, focus on that breath coming into your stomach and exhaling from your stomach. So we can work on this diaphragmatic breathing if we want to. If you're comfortable with doing that, it's something that a lot of people aren't used to doing. When we breathe, typically, we're used to just using our lungs and using the top part of our chest. What we want to do is try to get breath going into the bottom part of our lungs as well. So that helps to use our diaphragm, our stomach area to do that. So if when we breathe in, we sort of picture the air coming in and filling in the bottom section of our stomach, and we can even push out our stomach. You may not be able to see that right now, but if you put your hand on your stomach and just imagine pushing out like you've got a full belly, that's your diaphragm at work. So if we breathe in, when we breathe in, we're pushing out there. Try to take a slower breath than I did right there. That pushing out portion of it, you're really going to feel your diaphragm at work there, because rather than breathe out with our chest, our lungs, we're going to push the air out with our stomach. So we've pushed out to bring the air in, and then we're going to kind of pull your stomach back in to push the air out, as opposed to blow the air out with our lungs. This is really something that it's a lot easier to work with live in person, but if you get the idea, then it's something you can certainly practice. And there's all kinds of resources that you can refer to that may be explaining it a little bit better than I am right now. So let's do that a few times. When we breathe in, bring it in through your nose and just really visualize that air filling your whole lung. So from the bottom all the way to the top, your chest cavity, your back, your lower back, you should feel all of that expand, or at least try to feel that expand. If you can't do it right away, that's fine. It does certainly take practice. For some people are a little bit more in tune with their bodies than others, and that's perfectly fine. That's what we want to get to. We want to be able to be more in tune and understand how our bodies are working. And this is just the beginning of the journey. So don't be frustrated if you're not feeling it right away. It takes some practice sometimes. So we'll just do that a few times until we feel a little bit refreshed, and then we'll move on. So. gonna make a note right there. You may have heard me gag a little bit. What I'm doing is sticking out my tongue to, as I expel the air, to open up my throat a little bit more. I have a horrible gag reflex. And so if I don't do this a lot, and I haven't done this a lot recently, it's a practice that I've kind of fallen out of and I need to get back into, my gag reflex will kick in. And I don't have a very big tongue, a long tongue at all. So I don't know if that has anything to do with it, but I promise you I will not throw up on camera or in front of you if we're doing a class. And by the time we interact, maybe I won't even do this in live just to avoid the chance of throwing up. But that being said, I'll get right back to it. Focus, Andre, focus. All right. All right, we can relax into some regular breathing. Got a few good breaths in there. Depending on how you're feeling, you may want to do that a little bit longer, do that a little bit less, only do one or two. Again, it's something to practice to get into the feeling of. One thing I'll note that I didn't comment on beforehand was when you've got your full breath of air, maybe a good moment to or even if you're, even at your exhale, if you hold those for a little bit and kind of stretch, move your neck on the full breath, even on the exhale, feel those upper joints move around a little bit, move into space. On the inhale, you've got a good opportunity to, as your body is expanded, kind of stretch out those muscles that are being forced out a little bit by your lungs. And then on your exhale, really feel your spine as you've let out all the breath. Your ribs, everything's kind of contracted. You can move around a little bit. You may be able to feel some pain points and focus on those for in that moment, and try to move around them or move with them. Just really get in touch with what your body is telling you at that point. So there's another part of the breathing that we can do, and that is essentially rapid breathing through our nose. Now, one thing I will say about this can get pretty gross if you've got a stuffy nose, but I will say that if you do this practice regularly, your stuffy nose is not going to be as stuffy as regularly. I need to find a different word for that. As commonly, as often. So right now my nose is somewhat clear, but basically all we're going to do is rapidly breathe in and out, aggressively breathe in and out through our nose. So we're gonna keep our mouths closed and now what this is gonna do is start clearing out your nasal passage and bring some airflow back and forth through there. That was not as aggressive as I would typically do it. I do have a little bit of clog up here, but I don't think you're gonna be seeing anything come out on camera. And if we do this live, when you come into class and we're doing it together, we'll certainly either be comfortable with each other enough to make a mess and then clean up after ourselves, or not at all. That's entirely up to you, up to us, whatever we do. So I'm gonna go ahead and run through this real quick. I am gonna point out one thing. A way to help open up some of that passage is to turn your head to one side or the other side, and that's gonna open up the sides, give a little bit of a clearer path for your air to flow through. If you start feeling lightheaded as you do this, stop doing it. You're kind of hyperventilating at that point. So again, this is something that takes a little bit of practice. Do it as you're comfortable doing it. And yeah, so I'll just go through a little bit. And yeah, that'll do it for that. So yeah, with that hyperventilating, that rapid breathing, the aggression there, 30 seconds is good to do that for. You don't need to go really any longer than that. Again, it's a comfort level thing, so be cognizant of that. All right, so we've done some breathing. We've gotten that out of the way. We didn't make too much of a mess here. My nasal passage was a lot cleaner than I expected it to be. No mess for me to clean up here. So yeah, let's move on to some stretching of sorts. Let's get in touch with our body a bit. And I like to do this standing up. So from whatever position you're sitting in now, easily work your way up. Use your hands if you want. One thing that I like to do with movement in general, day to day, is I like to challenge myself to try to get up without using my hands, but certainly use your hands if you need to do that safely. So we're going to stand up and I think that's good. Put this to the side. All right, so we're basically gonna get our body straight, and you want to kind of think of your body as a straight line going through. Your spine straight, so you've got some good posture going through, and your balance. You want to kind of work on some balance as well. So I'm on a mat right now. It's a little bit of a softer floor. You may be on a harder surface, which is fine. Just keep that in mind as you're keeping your balance. If you're gonna, we can stand with our feet together, or stand with our feet a little bit apart, baby's shoulder width. You don't want a real wide stance right here, but somewhat close together. I'd say no farther than the shoulder width apart. But I'm gonna do this with my feet together. And we're gonna start off just by going back to what we were talking about before, sitting down and separating your rib cage from your hips and your top of your head from your collarbone. So what I'm gonna do is work on that extension there a little bit. I'm gonna just try to raise up my rib cage and then extend my neck at the same time. And you're gonna feel, as you do it, you're gonna feel yourself extend. And if you have a mirror in front of you, I've got a mirror in front of me right now, and I can see the difference a little bit, and it makes it easier for me to adjust my body, because as I'm going, I can notice how I'll be waving one way or the other, and I can visually change that, use those visual cues to adjust my body, which is very helpful. But as you get more comfortable with it, you can certainly close your eyes, and your body will kind of find its way as well. Don't worry about that for right now. This is a beginner, casual workout, not workout, but stretching. Be sure to breathe as you're doing that. You're lifting your rib cage, you're feeling the separation, you're feeling your hips kind of extend, space out, your core extend through. You want to make sure that as you do that, your shoulders are staying where they need to stay. You're not activating your shoulders at all right now. They're just hanging, letting gravity pull your arms down. Don't fight that. And then your neck is extending up, separating the top of your head from your collarbone area here. And then as you get further along into it, so we're talking really about the upper body right now, you can also start thinking about your lower body, your legs, and that separation. So from the bottom of your pelvis and your feet, there's a separation there going too. So you're really using your spine you're extending your spine, and you're just extending your body all the way through. Separating all of those little planes where the joints are, or the separations are, as best you can. Remembering to breathe as you do that. It doesn't have to be excessive breathing. When you get good exhales, take that moment in the exhale to stretch out a little bit more. Again, you want to keep your back straight as you're doing this. So it'll turn. You also got a flat plane going through. And this is a little bit hard to tell with my shirt, but I'm not curving through, I'm not pushing out anything, I'm just kind of bringing it. And if you keep that idea of your head going straight up, it's a lot easier to do. And your ribs and ribs going straight up, ribs and head. Okay, so now once we've kind of stretched that out a little bit, we're gonna start extending our arms, thinking about our stretching out from our body. So here you may feel some tightness along the way, and just don't necessarily fight against that. Right now, all we're doing is getting a good feeling of where everything is, and we're just gonna work with it. So for me right now, on my left shoulder, my left back, the rhomboid, basically where the shoulder blade is, I've had issues with that, and it's something that if I don't take a lot of care of it, if I don't keep up with stretching it out, it tends to bother me very easily. So right now I can feel that kind of activating, and I'm going to recognize that pain and just work with it. And I'm still going to stretch out my arm. What I'm doing here is extending out, and similar to with my head, extending up as high as I can, extending my neck. I'm pushing my arms out, my fingertips. I'm pulling my arms away from my body. And I'm going to raise them up slowly as I do that. I'm feeling that stretch into my shoulder on the left side a lot more than I am on my right side because of that muscle, and that's okay. I'm not going to hurt myself in doing this. I'm being very careful about it, but I know that I cannot physically rip my arms away from my shoulders or away from my body. That's not physically possible for me to do without some other external force. This is all internal force, pushing, pulling from different angles. And as you do this, as you stretch slowly up, you're going to feel a little bit of strain, and that's okay. Just breathe with it. Take some deep breaths as you go. And focus on bringing your arms up at the same time, trying to stay balanced as you go. So now I'm going to turn my palms over. I'm going to feel a different set of muscles stretch a little bit. We're going to bring this up to our head, above our head. Like a slow clap, the slowest YMCA. I also like to do, if you don't have a mirror in front of you, and even a mirror may not be that effective, to see where your arms are in comparison to your head. Use your peripheral vision, look forward, and on the side of your eyes you'll be able to see or not see your arms. So that's going to tell you how far on this plane, and this all goes with range of motion as well. You may not have the range of motion to bring your hands over your head like this, and that's fine. Just do what you can, and then touch. We'll take a moment to keep extending up. Try not to shrug the shoulders, but extend from the sides. Keep your neck extending up. If you feel your spine start to get a little bit tight, adjust your head, either bring it forward or back so it's not, you don't want to feel a lot of pressure in your spine. You just want to feel it straight. You're going to feel this mostly in your sides. And then we'll turn out and push back down. Nice and slow. Good. I already feel that shoulder after bringing that up and around like that. I feel it's already loosened up a little bit. If I go through like this again, I'm not feeling that same pressure. So it definitely helps out to identify where some of your pain is at, and B, work with that. Either not necessarily run away from it, but accept that it's there and work with it safely. All right, so now we've done that top part of it all. Let's go ahead and work on our neck. So we're going to work on the top part of our spine really, and kind of pull out, work these top muscles along your shoulder and where your neck begins. We're going to do that just by bending our head down, but we're going to start off like we've been doing. Bring your neck up, raising our head away from our collarbone, and then continuing that stretch like we're trying to rip our spine out basically with the top of our head. Sounds awful, but it's the best way to describe it for me right now in this moment. And then we're going to keep pulling it forward. And if you've got a tight neck, you're going to feel this. You may not be able to pull it forward too much. But at the same time, just as where we've been talking about working that up and down extension, we're also going to work on this outward extension from our shoulders. So we didn't talk about that at all before, but we want to go ahead and push those out now. So we pushed them out when we brought our arms out, but now we want to push them out without the arms out. And we want to try to focus on them going straight out. That's what we want to think about, like you're making a T. The goal isn't to pull them forward or pull them back. They're going to be fairly neutral, just at your shoulders. Just push the shoulders straight out while pulling down on the neck. And as you start pulling down and your chin comes in, you're going to want to keep pulling up on your spine. You're still trying to pull that spine out. Think of it as one of those accordions. Imagine you're undoing an accordion. Your spine is all crinkled up. You want to undo that. So you can slowly roll it forward. Then, once you get to a certain point, you're only going to be able to roll forward so much, so you want to keep that body in line and roll with your body as you can. If you can't go any further, just hold it in that position for as long as you can. But if you can go further, pull it forward more. Your core activates it a little bit, gets a little bit harder. You're concave at this point. It's almost like you're making you're rolling up a paper. Make sure you're breathing. Now you're not going to be able to do some diaphragmatic breathing at this point, so don't worry about that. Just make sure your exhale is going to be what's going to get you more of your stretch. And as you're doing that, you might start getting wobbly in the feet. Remember, you're going to stay firm and that you're planted. Good, then you can bring it back up. Same way you brought it down. So that gets that center point of the spine and neck right there. So, but we typically have some aches and pains. You may have some aches and pains along your trap muscles, your trapezoids, if I'm saying those muscles right. So what we want to do is bring it to the side at an angle. Feel where those stretches, where those pains are. So right now I'm feeling it tight here. Right, going back along. I'm just gonna leave in there for a second. Breathe. I've got it coming here now. I can feel it. I can feel it going all the way down the shoulder. This is my bad shoulder, or my worst shoulder, I should say, not bad shoulder. And we'll just do that till we feel a little bit looser. And then we can move it closer to the side. Remember, we're still extending our bodies up. We're not forgetting that we're trying to stay tall the whole time. And we may make weird noises. They're not weird noises, they're satisfaction noises. The noises of satisfaction. Good. All right, and then, we can, after we're done with that, move our bodies a little bit, move our shoulders, bring around our spine. We can twist a little bit. We've done a good job with that. So from here, what we're gonna do is work on some, from a standing position, work on a little bit of knee and ankle flexibility. So we'll work our way down to the ground doing that. So we'll start with just going down into a squat, or not necessarily going all the way down into a squat, but bending our knees so that we're comfortable, just kind of moving with it. Nothing too deep, nothing that you feel a lot of pain with. And if you do feel a lot of pain, just slightly doing it, that's fine. You're working on your range of motion. But just move your knees, keep sturdy, and work your way down as far as you can go. Circle the knees a little bit if you need to. Just start really feeling that joint. And while you're doing that with your back, we want to keep that idea of keeping your back straight as we're going through. We don't want to start arching it, getting into the habit of curving over like that, or putting our weight back like that, so we're pinching things. We want to kind of keep flat and somewhat relaxed at this point. Put your head wherever you need to do so it's not strained. You're really focusing on your knees and your ankles, just moving around a little bit. So now we'll go down and see what we can do for a squat. So we're going to take our feet. We've been feet together for the most part. A little bit more than shoulder width apart. And we're just going to squat down as best we can. So I'm squatting down. I'm bringing my hands right in between. You may find that that's a little bit difficult. So what you can do is, as you squat down, bring it out more if you need to. Again, try to keep your back where it needs to go, but that's fine. What we're really working on is just making sure our ankles are being able to move, our knees are being able to move, and coming down as low as we can. We're going to get some hip mobility in here as well. And then once you're down, almost a bear crawl type pose, you want to kind of slowly walk it back to where you're comfortable and get into that shape. You're going to be able to eventually, at some point, if you keep up with working, get a little bit more flexibility to bring it into a lower squat like this, and no hands, and then be able to raise up from that. But for now, get down to where you can. So once you're down here, my feet are about 45 degrees apart, or 45 degrees facing outward. You can put them in like this, but that 45 degrees is going to be your most natural position. And then have your hands on the inside of your legs, like so. Again, if you got your hands on the ground, this is fine as well. You're really just, what you want to focus on, again, is your hips and moving that hinge there and getting closer to getting as deep as you can in your knees. So we're down here, and then this is a good rest position. So there are all kinds of, this is a good time to talk about archetypal rest positions, ARP. And these are basically rest positions that we as humans don't really use anymore, as we sit at computers and desks all day. Most people, we're sitting on couches, or how we're programmed, I don't know, societally trained to sit. Like that's just how it is. But so like here is a squat position, which is actually a rest position. So if you can sit in this, a lot of people can't sit like this for an extended period of time, or rest like this. I shouldn't say sit because I'm not really sitting. I'm resting. I'm in a squat. But if you can do this for, you know, at least 5 minutes, or if you're watching TV, or I actually do this when I'm brushing my teeth every day. It's just a way for me to practice doing it, and I'm comfortable doing it. So I'll get my toothbrush in and I'll brush my teeth like this in my bathroom. And what I also like to do is switch hands. I'm left-handed. I'll use my right hand just so I get used to my body using it on both sides. That's a completely different story. But yeah, this is an archetypal rest position. So you can feel it, or I can feel it right now because I haven't really been practicing it as much as I should be practicing it. In a lot of places, like my hip, I'm feeling it there right now. But it's not a painful feeling. I just feel my hip, you know, being worked a little bit, and I can adjust my weight, shift it around as I need to make it more comfortable, stretch it out a little bit more. But right now we're just gonna, you know, focus on getting down into the position, not worry necessarily about staying in it for an extended amount of time. This is just a beginner type activity. So with the other archetypal rest positions, though, if we look at, I've already kneeled when we did the breathing. I was kneeling, but like I said, you can also sit cross-legged. That's another one. Just sitting with your legs out straight. It's another one. The Z sit would be where you've got one leg in front of you, bent, and your other leg coming out behind you. And then the other way would be to go opposite. And then you've got your supported position, where you're sitting like this. And then the other common archetypal rest position would be prone, where you're just propped up on your shoulders. So basically what you see kids do in kindergarten classes during reading time or whatever. And they're not being instructed to sit a certain way necessarily. This is just natural for them. And I'm not like doing a lot of pushing. This isn't a cobra stretch right now. This is just me laying. If I prefer to have a book here, or if I'm going to be watching TV ahead, or watching you here, this is just fairly comfortable. So one thing to note about these positions is that none of them really put you in a position where you're necessarily going to be comfortable sitting there for an extended amount of time. It promotes movement. So if I like to use these positions while I'm reading, for example, or I'm watching TV, because I'll sit like this for a while, and in any of these positions, you're activating your core. So if I'm sitting like this, I'm working on keeping my spine straight and my body up with my core, my abs, and my lower back muscles to an extent. Like this, same deal. I'm keeping my back straight, switch legs, go this way, sit cross-legged, like so, on my knees, like so, propped up, like so. And then other than when you're sitting like this, I mean, this is gonna give you some stress on your shoulders, not stress, extreme stress where it's uncomfortable, but after a little while, I'm gonna wanna switch this up a little bit because, but I'm also not using my core as much here. And then if I'm in that prone position, I'm propped up on my shoulders. But I'm not going to want to sit in those for extended amount of time, so it promotes movement as well. So if I'm reading a book, sitting like this, I'm not going to want to sit like this the whole time and reduce my blood flow through my limbs and all of that stuff. I may be into a really good book, but my body's not going to naturally want to sit there as if I was sitting on a couch or sitting at a comfy chair at a desk or working on my computer. So those archetypal rest positions are good to promote the body's moving around. All right, so I think that's all I'm going to do with that stretching and all this stuff. I will do one other thing. Shoulder dislocates. Shoulder dislocates. You can do this with a broomstick or PVC pipe. This happens to be a bow staff. But this is good for working your range of motion and your mobility in your shoulders. One thing you may be familiar with windmills, same situation, except the staff keeps your shoulders in one spot. Your staff keeps your shoulders in the same position to work that range of motion. So the wider out you go, the easier it is going to be. So we'll just start out pretty wide, and you're gonna grab the staff or stick, whatever you're using, out in front of you. Bring it down as far as you can, and you're gonna kind of pull out as you grab, and just keep your arms straight, and bring it back, all the way to your back, and then bring it forward, all the way to your forward. Again, I like to do these with my feet together. You can do this shoulder width apart. That's up to you. What you're comfortable with. And forward. And this is a good exercise. Really starts helping your shoulder rotation. Loosens it up a bit. Now, again, the farther out you go, the easier it is. If I move in just a little bit, I'm gonna feel a difference. And let's see, I haven't done these for a little bit, so this could hurt. Not hurt in a bad way, I'm not gonna hurt myself here. But it's gonna be a little bit more. There we go. A little bit more work for me to do. Shoulder mobility is something that I've been working on myself. And remember to breathe as you do this. And then I'll bring it in a little bit more, just so we can see. Yeah, so right about here is where I can tell I need to work a little bit more. And coming back, especially at those points where it's hard, is where it gets fun. So I'm not going to do too much more. With that, I just wanted to show you. And then for my own workout, in the classes, we're not going to, in the beginner classes at least, we're not going to do any bag work or anything like that. But I will just share a little bit about warming up things and help, not necessarily warming up, but actually moving. I have a martial arts background, so I like to punch things and kick things. It gets my blood moving, and I like the creativity in playing with combos and different punches. So we'll just play around with that right now. If you've got a bag to work with at home, that's great. I highly recommend using it. You can always shadow box too though. You know, standing, you don't have to actually hit anything, but really it's just the idea of moving your body. Getting your limbs moving in a way that you're not necessarily used to, and also learning how to use your body together so that, for example, if I throw a punch here, I know I'm using my hips to turn my body into that punch. I can feel that tension come across, and I can go ahead and make my next movement based on that tension. So as a simple, I'll throw that punch out and then use my hips, that tension to snap this other arm out afterwards. And then kind of throw around, however you want to do it. It turns into a game, but some of the things that you can mess around with is, I'm left-handed, I've got my left foot forward, my right foot back, and I can just move my feet. You can move around. If you got a bag, you got a point that you can go to. And then with the bag there, you can measure your distance. So you don't even have to punch the bag at that point. You're just moving around it. Just touch it with your hand. Touch. You can touch with your fingertips, lean into it a little bit, but just get comfortable moving around. And it doesn't have to be fancy. All you're doing is moving. And then once you get used to touching the bag with one hand, this would be considered a jab. You can start touching it with your other hand too. And you'll notice, so with my jab, I've got this much reach. I can go that far. If I want to touch it with this hand, I have to reach in a little bit to do that, as opposed to here. So that kind of gets you into that idea of, all right, what do I need to do? Do I need to move in closer? How do I move in closer to do that? So we'll start with that left hand out, move around, move back and forth, switch it up to the right hand. And then if you really wanted to, you can start playing around, just step in with the other hand. Just start slapping it. Don't go crazy with it if you're not trained. Don't try punching the bag crazily without any control, without protection or anything like that. You can certainly hurt yourself. I used to mess around hitting bags bare knuckled. I still do, but when I did it before, I would bloody up my knuckles a lot, which is not a good thing to do, especially if you're at a place like somebody's gym. It's not your own bags. They don't like to see blood on their bags. Also, you can severely hurt your wrist. You can break your wrist. If you don't have the wrist support, you should be wrapping your hands. Boxers will tell you all the time, wrap your hands all the time. You can certainly wear gloves to do that. But even if you have gloves, it's very easy to hit on the wrong side. Hit on the side of the back of your hand, let's say, and roll that wrist forward, and that hurts a lot. I've done damage to my wrist doing that. So for our sake of purpose, for our purposes, you don't need to do a lot of power work here. All you're doing is moving, just slapping it, getting to know your distance with things, being able to move around the bag comfortably. Again, it doesn't have to look pretty. We're just getting comfortable with our body. So once you're able to do those one hand little hits, little taps, slaps, and 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Now go for those side slaps if you want. All you're doing is touching the back. If you want to do like a 1, 2, 3, swing it out from below. And as you're doing this, again, feel your whole body move with it. Especially if you're slapping, swing into it. You know, you're gonna feel your leg, your foot want to go in a certain way. Your leg want to go in a certain way. Your hips want to turn in a certain way. So as you get more comfortable moving around, get comfortable knowing what your body wants to do with those things, and let your body do those things in most cases. You'll, if it feels uncomfortable, sure, the body may want to do that, but it's not your body necessarily wanting to do that. It's you potentially not using your full body as it needs to. It gets confusing if you don't have somebody to work with. So we can work on that kind of stuff later on. Again, in the beginner classes, we won't be working with any bags really. Maybe we'll do this. This is easy enough. And then you can, as you move up, you can start bringing kicks into it if you want to, which is gonna obviously require some balance and some flexibility to do what you need it to do or what you're looking to have it done, especially if you got, I don't know if you can see the target here, probably not, but if you want to be accurate with whatever you're doing. But yeah, so that's a little bit of bad work that you can work on. That's doable. I like to do bad work, just warm up, move around. After I just said, I'm just a bare knuckle bag. I'm not hitting this hard. And I'm not a boxer, so bear that in mind. But it doesn't take long to get your blood flowing doing that kind of work. Whew. So, ball work is another thing that we can work on. And it's just a fun way to work on hand-eye coordination and also get some movement in. So, what we have here, excuse me. What we have here is just a foam ball, little foam dodgeball. What the kids use to play dodgeball and other kids' games here in the karate classes with. And I like to use this as a way to, make some movement stuff a little bit fun. So we've got all kinds of things we can do. Like I was just doing there. Start with the simple swapping with the hands, right? All we're doing is bring our hands out and we're extending our chest, puffing up like a fish, like a puffer fish. Just breathing as we go. You notice my back isn't arched or anything like that. We're just keeping the straight back. Really using our chest muscles here. You're gonna feel that in your shoulders up here. And then on the back, when we squeeze, you're getting a back workout as well. So there's that. And there's, you can juggle the ball. Just front juggle. One ball, real simple. Toss it, catch it. Toss it, catch it. You can do that as fast or as slow as you want to do it. And this is going to go ahead and, again, work that coordination. And it's something fun to do, something to play with. That's what movement is about in a lot of cases, just playing, being able to play when you want to play, We don't necessarily need to be all-star athletes in everything that we do, or anything that we do for that matter. But maybe you want to be, and you just don't know how to get into it. This is the type of work that if you think about it, when we were all kids, this is all we do. We play. We go out on the recess, and the playground at recess, and we just explore. And we're given tools to do that with. The kids go, the teachers go out and toss out a bunch of balls, and we go and play, or they, depending on where you live or your background. I know when I grew up in Maine, there's woods all around. I went to, one of the schools I went to was on the playground, just had a big wooded section, and we could just go and play in the woods, and had sticks and made forts and played with all the stuff that were there, just ran around, jumped over logs, but easy stuff, fun stuff. So then, you know, throw the ball side to side, up, down, whatever. Then if you wanted to, we've got the rainbow juggle, so you're just tossing it over your head at that point, keeping your eye on the ball, try to make it land into your other hand as easy as possible. Work that control. I tried to get fancy, tried to do it without looking. Let's see if I can do it. I'll look in the mirror. I'll cheat a little bit. Ew. But I'm not going to get hurt if I get hit with these balls. So that's good. And then, you know, if you got friends, if you got a group, you can certainly pass to each other. Just as good. So you've also got around the world. You're just swapping the ball back and forth. Getting some blood flow going. Slow it down if you want to really focus on what your body's doing within the motion. And this also gets your brain engaged, your mind-body relationship. So you're not just moving your body, you're thinking about what you're doing as you switch up the pattern. So if I want to go this way, now I want to go this way. Now I want to go the other way. Now I want to go this way. I have to think and make those decisions. So it's not just my body mindlessly doing an exercise. It's me thinking about what I'm doing as well. And then so that's some good standing exercises, some examples. Then you can get into, if you want to bring your legs into it, just do some quick knee juggles. If you're capable of doing knee to knee, you know, challenge yourself. But again, this isn't anything that this class is going to focus on and trying to be the best juggler in the world. It's just, you know, get used to moving your body. Something fun to do, or different. And then those are some standing ball exercises. We did work on some, we also like to work on some leg stuff here. Just moving the ball. We can do it laterally, focusing on keeping the ball, keeping our legs, our body moving in a straight line and controlling as we go through. This is a little bit difficult, these pants on. Let me roll it up a little bit so the ball doesn't just slide off of the fabric. Slide that through. And this will work your lateral muscles, your adductors and your abductors as you go either way. Really your abductors, your inner. This isn't weighted, so you're not going to put a lot of strain on it, but it is going to get that movement going along. And then we work on a little bit of control, pushing forward, just dribbling the ball forward, pushing it forward without getting too far away from you. You're working the core muscles, your core here, and keeping control of the ball, not letting it get too far away from you, controlling how hard you're kicking it. And then we can do that backward dribble as well. same idea. Control, a little bit of balance in there. It's not a race, it's just a matter of control and something fun to do. Keep your mind focused on something as you're moving your body. Really helps build that nervous system, that body-mind relationship. And there's some other ball exercises you can do, all kinds of things. You can play pass against the wall, all sorts of variations. I think that's going to wrap it up for me. It's been a little bit longer of a video than I expected to make. But I think that's a pretty good introduction for now. And I think I am going to have to edit this, and that's fine. But maybe this will just be an uncut version that that is not edited, and that's fine too for the special people in my life. That's you. I don't know. I don't know you. I should probably edit that out. Anyway, thank you for watching this, and I hope you got something out of it. If not, if not anything else, then some examples of some simple exercises that you can do. I didn't really use any equipment. I used a couple things, but those were kind of addendums to the stuff that that you might feel like you have to use. A lot of it's just some simple movement, stretching, some exercises. I think I'll probably put together some resources, PDFs maybe of more specific examples of the workouts that I went over. Something that's easier to follow along with. Maybe some different videos, if that's something that you're interested. Certainly reach out to me. However, I ask you to reach out to me and whatever this is posted on. I don't know. So anyway, thanks again. My name is Andre Davis, and hope to see you in class sometime. Bye-bye.